Hi everybody, welcome. It's Thursday night here at Now You're Cooking. We're about to do another cooking demo. We're going to do panzanella tonight, which is perfect for summer people who have summer gardens, lots of fresh vegetables. Before we get started, just a reminder, next week we have Chris Toy here. He's going to be making something from his 5th cookbook, which is stir fry for beginners, I think, or something like that. And so he's going to talk about woks and how to use your wok, as well as making a really delicious meal. The week after that, we're making lobster thermidor with Meg Barker from Embark Tours, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Bath. So that's going to be really fun. Last week in July. Last week in July, we'll be making a fruit trifle. So we're going to be making the pudding, we'll make a cake, we'll make the whipped cream, and we'll put it all together. So that might be a little bit longer, but there's going to be lots of different parts to it, so that'll be fun. So for starters tonight, panzanella is a traditional Tuscan tomato salad. Usually has red onion, and it always has bread in it, or croutons. We're also going to be adding some cucumber and some green pepper, just because it's summer and we have all of this bountiful harvest from our gardens. So I made some croutons earlier, but unfortunately they get nibbled at, but they're nice, beautiful golden brown, and I used some kind of stale bread for that, which worked perfectly. And so then I had to go down to Center Street Bakery and buy this beautiful loaf of fresh bread, and it breaks my heart to make croutons with it because it's so fluffy and soft, and it's asking to be slathered with butter or sop up some really nice broth or something. But alas, we're going to make croutons with it. So I'm going to put some oil on it. You can follow the recipe or you can just guess. The more the better. I want to make sure, because it's really fresh, it's going to absorb faster than a stale bread would. So we're just going to make that nice and oily. I'm going to sprinkle some salt on it. Not too terribly much, maybe half a teaspoon or so. And you can put pepper on it. You could put some dried herbs on it too if you want. And that just gets tossed together. We're going to put it on a sheet pan. I like to use the silicone baking mat just so it doesn't get my pan all greasy and icky. And I've got my oven at 350. I've got my oven at 350, and I am going to put these in, and I'm going to set my timer with my non-greasy hands for about 12 minutes, it says on the recipe, but you may do it longer. You just want to toss it every maybe 6 to 8 minutes, just so they get brown and golden on all sides. So next, we are going to make the salad, and I'm going to start with my tomatoes. I got these beautiful heirloom tomatoes up at Shaw's, so there's 3 different colors here. And the first thing I'm going to do is core them, and I'm going to use this awesome little strawberry corer. And you just push down, push in, twist, and pull it out. And you're cored without wasting a whole lot of the tomato. So like I said, these are made for strawberries, but they work really well for tomatoes as well. Anything like this that you need to core. With a twist, and super easy and not wasteful. We have so many gadgets on our gadget wall, and you always look at them and you say, I don't really need that thing, but once you use them, you realize that it really does make life easier if you have some really fun gadgets. And also tonight I'm using a Miyabi knife. It's got a little garlic on it. These are made by Zwilling in Japan, and they are gorgeous knives. And we have these also. So just a pretty rough chunk. You don't want them huge pieces because you want to be able to get a number of different flavors in each forkful. So bite size or a little smaller, and you want to make sure you get all of that nice juice in there because it's going to get soaked up by the croutons, and that's going to add a lot of the flavor. So the nice thing about this recipe is you can use tomatoes that are maybe a little beyond ripe, where you maybe wouldn't use them in like a fresh salad or a sandwich because they're just too juicy. But you can use them in this salad because you really want that extra juice. And we'll add a couple more here. And I think traditionally, usually it's just the tomatoes and the red onion, but I just think it's so nice to add all these other flavors in, especially if you have a garden or you know somebody with a garden who gives you a lot of their extra stuff. And then tonight we're also going to add a little bit of salami and some olives. You could add, if you had some leftover chicken or, beef or something like that, you could add it in. Feta's really good in it. Fresh mozzarella's really good in it. Anything to just add a little protein if you want this to just be a light salad. I think that's enough tomatoes for now. Next we're going to do our pepper. And I'm just going to cut it in half and then just gently rip out the stem. And then if you just gently tap it, the seeds will come right out. And again, I'm not going to cut huge chunks, but I'm not going to worry too much about making them all exactly the same. This is a rustic salad, and so the rustic look is what we're going for here. And the nice thing with these tomatoes, and also you can use any color pepper. The yellow and red peppers and orange peppers are usually sweeter because they're actually riper, and that's why they turn color. The green ones are less ripe, but they are all basically the same kind of thing. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I'm going with. And next we're going to do our cuke. And I do want to peel this. If you have them from your garden and they're nice and tender, you don't need to peel them. It's up to you what you like to do. And the same, I'm going to core it with a spoon, take the seeds out, because I don't want a lot of liquid from the cucumber. I want most of the liquid to be from the dressing and the tomatoes. So we'll cut our ends off. And I'm just going to slice it lengthwise and take a spoon and just scrape the seeds out. I probably should have a bigger bowl for all this stuff. Actually, I'm going to need a bigger bowl when I put the croutons in. And I'm going to cut this into quarters, so each half I'll cut in half again. And again, just pretty rough. I'm not too worried about the size. And if anybody ever wants to come in and talk about knife use, we have done knife classes before and we'd love to do it again. But if you just want a really quick demo on safe ways to hold your knife and use your knife, please come in. We're always more than happy to help you out with that. And unfortunately, I do have a sorry, I'm not prepped as I usually am. Be perfect. There, that way we'll be able to see all the bright colors in here. Alrighty, so now I'm going to do, since we have more room, I'm going to do my last tomato. We don't want it going to waste. Good sharp knife will cut through tomatoes. If you can't cut through a tomato, it's probably time to sharpen your knife. It's a good way to test it if you're not sure. All right, then onto our onion. I'm not going to use this whole onion because it's pretty big. The recipe says a half of a medium onion, I think, or a small onion. Anyway, depending on the time of year, sometimes they're, like especially in the winter, they're a little stronger, and we don't want to overpower the flavors in there. So, and you can cut it any way you want. I'm just going to julienne or French cut. Watching out for my fingers. And if you love onion, add more. If you don't love onion, add less, or don't add any. Okay, so far 4 croutons, and I'll just be adding more later on after we're done filming, when I have more croutons. All right, dressing. And we are going to do a 1/2 cup of olive oil. And if you have a ton of veggies or a ton of extras, cheese, salami, olives, etc., you can just make a little bit more, just 1.5 times the recipe. And I'm using champagne vinegar in this. You can use red wine vinegar. I suppose you could use balsamic, but it's got such a strong flavor, I probably would stay away from it for this particular recipe. But you know what? Go ahead and try it if you want to. It wouldn't be bad. It would just be different. This is my garlic twist, my favorite garlic chopping item. You can you just put your garlic in, press it down and twist it, and you can make your garlic whatever consistency you want. It can be almost liquefied, it can be chopped, pureed. You can just coarsely do it just to get the flavors out. We've got some salt there, pepper, and I'm just going to whisk this up. And I'm going to let this sit just for a minute to let the garlic and everything sort of infuse while I slice up my salami and my olives. And this is a rosé salami, one that we have in our cheese case. It's really nice, just a pretty mellow. It's not spicy or anything. It's not too fatty. Take off the skin, and again, I'm going to cut this like I did the cucumbers. Just going to cut it into smaller pieces. And again, this is really just to add some protein so that, this is our meal tonight. We're not having extras. It's got the veggies, it's going to have some protein, it's going to have some bread in it. So we're not going to really need much of anything else. I'll put a little bit more because I can. Oh, I didn't take the skin off this side. You people are supposed to tell me these things when I mess up. Oh well, it won't hurt you, it just makes it more chewy. I won't put those pieces in. All right. Okay, and then we have some pitted, I hope pitted olives, I think they are. And I'm just gonna, you could throw these in whole if you want. These are cured olives with herbs on them. That's my oven. Let me take a quick look. And I'm gonna toss those in just a sec before we stop filming, but let it go another minute. So like I said, you can put these in whole or you can slice them. I like them a little bit smaller. And these are herbed. You can use Kalamata. You can use any kind of olives you want. Black olives probably would be my recommendation, but if you like green olives, put green olives in. There are no rules here. Okay, and that's probably going to be good, this little handful. We'll call that a day. So again, I would normally put more croutons than that in, but we're going to add them in a little bit. Meanwhile, there goes my oven. We'll give these a toss. So they're starting to dry out. These being really fresh, they might take just a little bit longer than stale bread because they've really got to dry out a bit. And we'll just put those in for another few. Okay. And then we're going to dress our salad. And the other thing you can do is let the dressing and the tomatoes and the veggies kind of marinate for a while before you add your croutons and your meat. Just allows it to soak in the flavors, but I wanted to kind of show you the finished product here. So we're just going to toss this. Last time I made it, I used some mozzarella in it. It was really good. All right, so this just gets served. We'll just use our crouton bowl. This gets served as is, room temperature. You can serve it chilled if you'd like to, but look at all those beautiful colors. It looks fresh, it looks delicious, and it is a crowd pleaser, I promise you. So join us next week for stir fry with Chris Toy, lobster thermidor after that, and then a fruit trifle to end out the month. And I guess that's it for the panzanella, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.